My name is Sufi, and you're listening to Cafe X podcast. And let me tell you, today I'm reviewing a book which I find the most strangest book that I have ever read. I was till the end of completion of this book, I was like something real is going to happen, but it kept me curious till the book ended. So the book is known as Metamorphosis by Franz Kafka. You already know it by the cover, but if you have not read it, I'm going to recommend it to you. You should go ahead and read the complete book. In this brief review, I'll try to give you an overview of the book, but it will be unjust if you do not read the book. It begins with one of the literature's most memorable situations. Gregor Samsa wakes up one morning and discovers that he has transformed into a gigantic insect-like creature. Kafka offers no scientific explanation, no magical backstory, no clear reason for this transformation. It simply happens. Yet the real horror of the story lies in Gregor's new body, more than in the way his family begins to see him. Before discussing the book, let me briefly introduce the author. Franz Kafka was born in Prague in 1883, when the city was part of Austro-Hungarian Empire. He belonged to a German-speaking Jewish family and worked for an insurance company while writing during his free time. Kafka had a difficult relationship with his father, struggled with anxiety and self-doubt, and published only a small part of his work during his lifetime. Before his death in 1924, asked his friend Max Brod to destroy his unpublished manuscript. Brod ignored the request, and because of this decision, the world received a work such as The Trial, The Castle, and America. Today, Kafka is considered one of the most influential writers of 20th century. The word Kafkaesque comes from his name and describes the situation that feels absurd, oppressive, confusing, and beyond your control. The Metamorphosis was published in 1915, is probably his best known work. Gregor Samsa is a traveling salesman who works tirelessly to support his parents and his young sister Greta. He dislikes his job, yet he continues because his family depends upon his income. When Gregor wakes up in his transformed body, his first concern is surprisingly ordinary. He worries about being late to work. The details tells you almost everything about his life. Even after losing his human body, Gregor remains anxious about his employer, his train, and his responsibility. His identity has become so closely connected with the work that he barely has a space to ask what has happened to him. At first, Gregor's family feels frightened and shocked. His sister Greta begins bringing him food and cleaning his room. She appears to be the only person who still cares for him. Gradually, however, sympathy turns into frustration. Gregor can no longer earn money, his family must be working, and his presence becomes an embarrassment and burden. He remains emotionally human on the inside, yet no one can understand him. When he tries to communicate, his voice sounds like meaningless noise. This is where the book becomes painfully relatable. Gregor's physical transformation can be understood as a symbol of alienation, the feeling of becoming disconnected from your work, your family, society, and even yourself. Before transformation, Gregor is valued because he provides money. Once he lost that ability, that affection around him begins to disappear. He raises an uncomfortable question. Do people value you for who you are or what you can provide? The story also examines conditional love. Gregor sacrifices his freedom and happiness for his family, yet when he needs care, patience, and protection, the same family gradually rejects him. His transformation reveals relationships that were already damaged. The insect-like body simply makes the hidden truth visible. Another important theme is shame. Gregor begins hiding beneath furniture because it understands that the sight of him disturbs the family. He becomes apologetic for existing instead of blaming anyone for abandoning him. He begins to believe that everyone would be happier without him. That emotional transformation feels even more tragic than the physical one. Greta also undergoes a metamorphosis. At the beginning, she is gentle and dependent. By the end, she becomes strong and more independent, yet also more decisive in rejecting Gregor. This suggestion that the title refers to More than one transformation. Gregor's body changes, but his entire family changes around him. What I appreciate about the book is its simplicity. Kafka takes an impossible situation and describes it in a calm, ordinary manner. The writing creates a mixture of sadness, discomfort, and absurdity, and even darker humor. The book is also short, yet it leaves behind a question that remains with you long after you finish reading. At the same time, some readers may find it depressing or emotionally distant. Kafka provides no satisfying explanation for Gregor's condition, and the story offers little comfort. If you expect a traditional plot with a clear answers and a hopeful resolution, the book may feel frustrating. Yet I believe the absence of explanation is a part of the power. In real life, sufferings rarely arrive with a complete explanation. Illness, unemployment, rejection, disability, loss can certainly change how a person sees himself and how society responds to him. My biggest takeaway from Metamorphosis is that your usefulness should never become the measure humanity of your humanity. A person deserves dignity during strength and weakness, success and failure, productivity and exhaustion. When love exists only while someone is useful, it begins to resemble a transaction. I would recommend this book to anyone interested in psychology, family relationships, loneliness, identity, and the pressure to remain productive. The Metamorphosis is a strange story about a man who becomes an insect. Beneath the strange surface, however, it's a story about something painfully familiar: the fear that if you can no longer perform, provide, or please, you may no longer be loved. Perhaps Gregor's tragedy begins long before the physical transformation. Perhaps he had already lost his freedom, his voice, and his sense of self. One morning, his body simply caught up with the life he was already living. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this review, share it with someone who loves literature and books that make you think. Until next episode, keep reading, keep questioning, and remember, your value extends far beyond what you can provide. Thank you.